Hi, Reggie here, speaking about healing America's narratives. We're going to stay with the topic of the United States Congress, current United States Congress. We're in October of 2023 right now. And again, this is all in the context of the book Healing America's Narratives, the Feminine, the Masculine, and Our Collective National Shadow. So currently, a small number of people in the United States House of Representatives is holding the House of Representatives hostage, metaphorically speaking, and in so doing, holding the United States Congress hostage, because the Senate and the House have to do things in common in order to pass legislation, make certain decisions, and in so doing are effectively holding 300 million people hostage. Again, metaphorically speaking, that's the United States of America, 330 some odd million people. So in their attempts to name a Speaker of the House after getting rid of the former Speaker of the House, Kevin McCarthy, because he was so desperate to become Speaker, he agreed that any one person could begin a motion to eliminate him if they didn't like what he was doing, and that's what actually happened. There is a small number of white ring, I hate to say this in this way, but white, they are white, but white right-wing extremists in the House of Representatives who made it difficult for Kevin McCarthy, of whom I'm no fan, to become Speaker, and then who made it easy to get rid of him. One of them is a man from Ohio named Jim Jordan. He was an election denier, probably still is. He was described as by John Boehner, who knew him, another Republican who's now retired, as a legislative terrorist in terms of how he moves in his office and in his interactions with others. The other prospective Speaker nominee was a gentleman named Steve Scalise, who's from Louisiana, and who himself said that his agenda is very similar to that of David Duke, but without the baggage. David Duke was a former Grand Wizard of the Ku Klux Klan. So right now, because of this handful of House members who want either Scalise or Jim Jordan, both of which seem impossible because the rest of the House won't go along with those. We don't have a Speaker of the House, so the House is basically not functioning other than bickering with each other. And they're effectively holding the country hostage in terms of the legislative branch of the federal government. So a small minority of people, this is what the Confederacy wanted decades ago, a couple of centuries ago, is holding the country hostage. All right? And it's another example in our developmental shorthand of the dysfunction of an unhealthy group-centric perspective. Now, some of these men, I think Jim Jordan is somewhat me-centric, as his sponsor, Donald Trump, is, but he's definitely representing a group-centrism, a very, very small percentage of people in the House and a very small percentage of people in the United States go along with him. But he's in a position of power where if he doesn't get his way, he can hold the rest of the House and much of the country hostage. The more moderate members of the House of Representatives who are part of the Republican Party understand that there are enough tens of millions of Americans who still like Donald Trump. And because he's basically takes a flamethrower to his opponents, they're afraid to speak their minds. These are members of the United States Congress. Because if they speak their minds and Donald Trump says bad things about them, or Jim Jordan says bad things about them, their constituents might not vote for them anymore. So there's a lack of integrity and a lack of courage in these more moderate Republicans. So America, which some folks used to look toward as a beacon of democracy and promise, is allowing its democracy to be politically manipulated by a small number of people. And we're learning that decency, honesty, and acting in support of and with the intention of serving the greater good, the majority of the people who voted for Joe Biden over Donald Trump, who voted for Hillary Clinton over Donald Trump, that has been increasingly, ever so gradually, disintegrated, so that more and more the pockets of power in this country are being held by small groups of people, and they tend to be conservative, white, mostly male, but there are plenty of females like Marjorie Taylor Greene and Lauren Boebert who fit into those categories as well. So the country is, not in great shape. And if we have any chance of healing America's narratives, it will require for everyday people to speak up. I don't mean storm the Capitol and vandalize it. I don't mean make believe that an election was stolen. I mean speak up for integrity, speak up for courage, speak up for decency, for compassion, and for good of the country as it is today, not for how the Confederates wanted it to be back in the late 17 and early 1800s. And actually right through the 20th century with post-Civil War, Jim Crow, and other issues. So this was a little bit longer than usual, but I have a little bit of fire in my belly this morning, and I'm both very sad and somewhat enraged by the goings-on in the United States Congress. Not just there, but especially there. Thanks for listening.